With philosophical idealism, there are two very different ways of considering existence, one temporary and illusory, and one real. If you've not watched the previous video called How the World Works, you may want to start there for background. The first way to consider existence is our present perceived, everyday existence. From our limited first-person perspective, the only thing that we can ever do is experience. There is nothing else other than experience of our mind, and it comes in three forms, all of which require consciousness. The first is perception, which includes all of our senses: touch, taste, smell, hearing, seeing, and many would include proprioception in this list as well. What we perceive is necessarily a subjective mental experience requiring conscious awareness. Color, for instance, doesn't exist out there in the world, as it exists only in our minds, where different animals perceive different wavelengths, and even different people, the so-called colorblind, experience color in different ways. Sound, too, is a fiction, in that our perceived world is actually silent, where waves are interpreted as sounds that exist in our minds as known by our awareness. The end state of all of our senses is consciousness. Our second form of experience is thought, which is, of course, also subjective. Thoughts come in many forms, including ideas, dreams, and memories, and they can be volitional. For instance, we can think of a pink elephant if we wish, and in a moment that thought will pass. Most thoughts simply arise in our minds involuntarily, and if we pay attention to them, we can witness them coming and going, often jumping from topic to topic. If you pay attention to your thoughts, you can witness it happening. Thoughts also form our conceptions of the past and the future. Many people assume that the past is something real that occurred back there, and that the future is out there ahead of us, that time is somehow discrete, experienced in chunks that we flow through. But is that true? If time actually exists in small quantized chunks, then how large is the chunk that we call the present? If the present is instantaneous, then how could we even make sense of the words in a sentence that are gone before we even reach the end? If the present were instantaneous and quickly devolved into the past, then we would have no means of comprehending any significant sentence or thought. Consider that you can only conceive of the past through a thought in the present, and any such thought in the present, a memory, is not the same experience, but rather is a new thought concerning that occurrence that we only consider to be in the past. The same is true of thoughts about the future, as they too can only occur in the present. Our conceptions of past and future can only occur in the present. The present is the only thing that exists, but the concept of time is useful for our limited minds. The third form of experience is our emotions. They often rise to dominate our minds, when we allow them to the exclusion of other mental processes. And all forms of our experience are unquestionably subjective, and they can influence one another. For instance, our perceptions can influence our thoughts, and our thoughts can influence our emotions, and vice versa. You may also have experiences that you do not remember, like dreams that you later recall. It is important to point out that if you hadn't experienced them in the first place, then you would be unable to recall them later. Experiences occur through awareness, whether they are remembered or not. Some people might call that the subconscious, but it is more accurately thought of as experience that is not self-reflective, but maybe in the future. What requires more serious consideration is the nature of our awareness, for while all experience is fleeting, coming and going constantly in our mind, awareness itself is not. It is the only subject to the objects of experience. The awareness you have now is the same that you've always had. Awareness does not age. When we refer to ourselves as I, it is to this consciousness that we are referring. You are the same you the same conscious awareness that you were many years ago, even though all the cells of your body may be different and all of your previous experiences have long since passed as well. Under the proposed theory of idealism, there is a second and more accurate way of viewing existence, which is that this consciousness is the same consciousness that is shared by all things, both living and non. It is the activity of consciousness that results in living things like us that are alters, where non-living matter is the non-dissociated thoughts of universal consciousness. Consciousness itself, not its activity, has no concept of separateness, as it is all that there is as the only constant. So to truly be one with consciousness is to experience happiness and love, which are what the absence of separation is. This means that the happiness that we all seek cannot be found in any lasting form through the transient experiences of our limited minds, but rather by recognizing, also called awakening, to the fact that happiness is a function of our true nature and is accessible now. This oneness means that the perceptions of our minds that we believe to be some external world of waves and particles are actually the activity of consciousness itself, which through collapses of the quantum wave function appear to us as matter, but is brought into being through our acts of observation, which is consciousness itself. Consciousness, which we are but a part, is observing itself through all of its alters. But what is the evidence for this contention? The first is that matter is an irrational basis as the foundation of existence, as was demonstrated in the first 4 videos of this series, linked below. We also know from quantum physics that matter begins through conscious awareness, and our experiences end with conscious awareness. Since language evolved to describe our everyday experiences, it is often challenging to describe inner happiness using language. Over millennia, this is what master meditators have experienced and known about inner peace and happiness. And beginning over 2,300 years ago with Plato's Republic, persons reporting near-death experiences have described this overwhelming oneness and happiness. And research shows that NDEs are reported by about 17% of those who nearly die, so this is a fairly common experience. And research also shows that most users of psychedelics also affirm oneness and bliss as our true nature, perhaps due to the partial dissolution of our dissociated mind while in that state. And let's not forget that a central role for consciousness is all in keeping with the direct implications of the modern science of quantum mechanics. In summary, in conversation, idealists often have to make reasonable concessions when discussing our everyday experience for those unfamiliar with that which is real. So listen closely for the distinction between our transitory experiences versus our true nature. Reality, according to idealism, is that death is only the passing of our temporary mind, our collection of fleeting experiences, and is a recognition that we are already one with universal consciousness. This has profound implications not only for meaning in our day-to-day existence, but also could help to explain a range of phenomena that are otherwise mysteries to our limited minds. Perhaps we'll take those up in future videos. Until then, please help spread the word by placating the YouTube algorithm with a like and subscribe to Consciousness Squared.